Hey, this is Nick Tassler, and like you, I'm on house arrest right now. And if we're being totally honest, in many ways, that kind of sucks. But in another way, I'm also kind of excited, and I actually think that there's pretty good reason for you to be excited too. Whether you know it or not, your brain has just released what amounts to a creative super strength. Nestled right behind your temple, there's a part of your brain called the anterior cingulate cortex. Now I know that doesn't exactly roll right off the tongue, so I just like to call it the explorer. Now, most times, your explorer is basically just hanging around all day, every day, doing pretty much nothing. Until that moment, until that day comes when a pattern is broken, when a routine is disrupted, when a schema is somehow flipped, something you expected to happen goes off in a different direction. And at that moment, whether from a new baby, a new marital status, a new health condition, or, hypothetically speaking, I don't know, a global pandemic that has forced the whole world into a quarantine, at that moment it's like a bat signal shining in the night sky, telling your explorer that it's time to spring into action and do the one and only thing that it does exceptionally, absurdly well: find meaning. Researchers have actually discovered that when people are exposed to the unexpected, to the unpredictable, to disruptions in what they thought was going to happen, they actually become twice as good at solving insight puzzles, at connecting the dots between seemingly unrelated concepts that were right in front of their face the whole time. In other words, it's almost as if when a disruption happens, people become twice as insightful, twice as creative, and twice as innovative. And maybe, just maybe, that's a pretty good explanation for why it is that Isaac Newton was able to come up with the theory of gravity when he was on quarantine during an outbreak of the bubonic plague. Maybe it's also why Shakespeare was able to crank out King Lear when he also was on quarantine during another outbreak of the plague. It wasn't just because they had spare time on their hands. I think it also had something to do with the fact that something about the way they expected the world to work was instantly disrupted. It was broken. And yes, the imminent threat and fear of death from the plague, all that combined into one force that set their explorers free to roam in a way that they maybe hadn't been for months or years or maybe a lifetime before that. And that's also why I think the stage is perfectly set for you to have a once-in-a-lifetime breakthrough. Maybe it'll be about your customers, maybe your marketplace, maybe it'll have nothing to do with work, or maybe it'll be about your career, your family, or your purpose in life. Who knows? That's actually kind of the crazy and cool and yes, sometimes uncomfortable thing about your explorers. It's like riding a wild stallion. You can point it in a general direction, but ultimately where it ends up is beyond your control. And even though that could be kind of scary sometimes, trust me when I say you want your explorer to roam free. The fact that you can't control it, the fact that you can't tell it exactly where to go, is precisely why it's going to come up with connections that have been right in front of your face for so long that your conscious brain is totally overlooked. That's why inspiration and unexpected insight is likely to happen now more than ever before. The absurdist writer Franz Kafka once said, "You are free, and that is why you are lost." In the coming weeks and months, there's a really good chance that you and I are going to feel moments of frustration, confusion, fear, and we're going to feel like we're lost, maybe even lonely. But at the same time, we also have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, an exceedingly rare window of opportunity for members of the working world to truly let our brains be free and let our explorers roam free and find connections, find insights, find creative outlets that maybe we had never noticed before. Ultimately, what you do with that freedom is up to you. My suggestion is you grab a notebook, you grab a pen, and you do your best to try and enjoy the ride.